I am going to start with some information that I believe is important for context. I will try to keep it as short and simple as possible. My mom is one of 14 children, and she moved here to the USA near a major city with her family when she was about 7 or 8 years old. They're from what is known to be a fairly conservative place in the world, and they have always followed a very conservative religion, to the point that most of my aunts and uncles only married people who were from the same country and/or people from the same church. Out of all of us in my generation of the family, my cousin, let's call her Marie, and I are the only girls. She's about 2 years older than me, and I have a lot of fond memories of us as children. I felt that when we were younger, we were both doted on by the whole family, like we were little princesses. As I got older, I started to realize Marie was the golden child of the family. She was and is naturally beautiful, tall and slender. She has lighter hair, eyes, and skin than me. She was a talented dancer, and she was kind and devoted to our family's religion. I had a harder time. I was always a bit more stubborn and more plain than Marie. One thing I was good at was singing, and my parents put me in singing classes. In those classes, I made friends, and through them, I got into our city's punk and hardcore scene. I even ended up singing in a punk band. For the first time in my life, I was making friends outside of my cousins and church, and I was really having fun. I know it probably sounds very corny, but I started to change my clothes and appearance. I started dressing more alternative, and I got facial piercings and lots of tattoos. I felt like I finally found a group of people who weren't constantly judging and criticizing my every thought and action, and I loved the music scene and the people in it. Marie's dad, my uncle, started to not let her hang out with me as much, and eventually not at all, because he associated my style with drugs, alcohol, atheism, and communism. You know, all the scary things. I was sad when Marie couldn't spend time with me as much because of that, but it was out of my control. I never really got to talk to her again after that. After a couple of years, Marie got married, and she ended up having 3 kids and was living her own life. I also got married and had 1 child and decided that was enough for me. I'm sure most of you won't be surprised when I tell you that Marie and I both ended up in very hurtful marriages. No one in our family had ever been divorced before, so it was a surprise when Marie told everyone about her abuse and that she was divorcing her husband. A year or so later, I also left my husband and started to talk about the abuse I'd been through. My mom had a weekly Zoom call with her siblings at that point where they could all talk and spend time together during infection smalling. 19. My mom told me one week that Marie had announced that she had started seeing a new man and they had gotten engaged. I had also started seeing a man around this time, but I wanted to let Marie have her happy moment. She got married about 2 months later, and a bit after that, I came to my mom and told her about my new partner, thinking she would share it with her siblings, like Marie's dad shared her new engagement. Instead, Mom told me to not tell anyone about it because they might think that I had deserved what happened to me. Essentially, she was saying that because I looked alternative, and my family's perception of that, and had gotten divorced because of abuse, I might have been dishonest with my ex-husband, and that he was justified in the physical abuse that ended the relationship. Obviously, this hurt me a lot, especially seeing how Marie was treated so well and with so much joy by our family after her divorce and subsequent relationship. I ended up accidentally overhearing her on her Zoom call with her siblings, and they insinuated that my alternative lifestyle brought me to that point, that my piercings and tattoos, plus leaving the church, made me inappropriately masculine, and I was essentially being punished by God when my ex-husband was harassing me, that I was not submissive enough. My mom did not disagree or defend me. That hurt me so deeply I cannot describe it with words. Now recently, my partner and I have gotten engaged, and we are planning our wedding. I have no desire to invite my family after everything they said about me. My mom is quite angry with me and believes I need to forgive them and give them another chance. I told her if she and her siblings thought I deserved to be abused while being ecstatic for Marie finding a kind husband, that I no longer wanted anything to do with them. They're all currently very mad at me, but I truly don't want anything to do with them at this point. Should I be the bigger person here and forgive them? Am I the a-hole for not including them? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. People like this never learn. They need to find anything to blame that isn't themselves. You never stopped being their scapegoat, and even if you go no contact, they'll still likely find ways to blame you for anything wrong that happens in the family system. Comment 2. I never heard them apologize in your post, so why would you forgive them? These people care more about their religion and how they are perceived than they do about you. Put them in your rearview mirror and have a happy life without them. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I've got some updates, and honestly, things have gotten even more intense. So after I decided not to invite my family to my wedding, things took a turn. Marie, who had always been the golden child, reached out to me. She said she missed our childhood bond and wanted to make amends. I was hesitant, but I agreed to meet her for coffee. It felt like old times, and for a moment, I thought maybe things could be different. But then, she dropped a bombshell. Marie confessed that her new marriage wasn't the fairy tale everyone thought it was. Her husband, who seemed so kind and perfect, had a dark side. He was controlling and had started to show signs of aggression. I was shocked, but I also felt a twisted sense of relief that I wasn't the only one who had been fooled by a seemingly perfect partner. Marie begged me to keep it a secret, and I promised I would, but then, just a week later, I found out she was pregnant again. The news spread like wildfire through the family, and everyone was overjoyed. It was like a slap in the face to me. Here I was, trying to build a new life, and my family was celebrating the person who was living a lie. Meanwhile, my mom kept pressuring me to forgive and forget. She said family was everything and that I was being too harsh. But how could I just forget the way they treated me? How could I forget the way they sided with my aggressor? Then, my partner and I found the perfect venue for our wedding. It was this cool, old warehouse that had been converted into an event space. It fit our style perfectly, and we were so excited. We put down a deposit and started planning the rest of our big day. But then, my mom found out about the venue. She said it was inappropriate and embarrassing. She said a wedding should be in a church, not some dingy warehouse. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, happy for the first time in a long time, and she was trying to ruin it. And then, the worst thing happened. My ex-husband somehow found out about my engagement. He started sending me threatening messages, saying he would come to the wedding and make a scene. I was terrified. I had to get a restraining order, and it was a whole ordeal. My family, of course, blamed me for it. They said I was attracting negative attention with my lifestyle. But karma has a funny way of working things out. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Marie's husband was caught in a scandal. It turned out he had been embezzling money from his company. The news was everywhere, and suddenly my family's perfect image was shattered. Marie was devastated, and I felt for her. I really did. But part of me also felt vindicated. My family had put her on a pedestal, and now they were forced to see that she wasn't so perfect after all. As for my wedding, it's still on. My partner and I are moving forward with our plans, and we're going to have the day we want, without my family's judgment. It's going to be tough, but I know it's the right decision. My girlfriend mocks my weight after I lost my mom, so I compare her to Taylor Swift, and she admits to cheating. Trust broken, I walk away. A 26-year-old male was born in the UK to an American mom and French dad. However, when I was 13, my dad passed away, so my mom and I soon moved to the USA so that we could be closer to her side of the family. Now I've been currently in a relationship with my girlfriend Rachel, 28-year-old female, for about 4 years. Everything until the last year or so has been perfect. We're both fitness junkies, and we met at a gym. We just clicked and moved in together within a year. I really love this woman and thought I would spend the rest of my life with her. We even talked about starting a family about a year ago. Sadly, in April last year, my mom passed away unexpectedly. Since I did not have any siblings, my mom and I became really close, and losing her felt like my whole world came crashing down. Life has been emotionally tough since then. I've tried to find solace in my friendships and hobbies, but I just don't enjoy them as I used to. I also start stress eating to cope with the grief, and because of that, I've put on weight. Before my mom died, I was 5'10" and 150 pounds. Now I'm about 180. I'm not obese, but it does look a lot rounder around the middle. I know I'm not living healthy, and I'm trying to change so that I can get back to where I want to be. However, in the last 3 months or so, my girlfriend has been making a lot of snide comments about my weight. For example, if I eat a small chocolate after dinner, she'll say, "Aren't you trying to lose weight?" Or if I'm watching a soccer game and one of the players removes their shirt after the match, she'll say, "Why can't you look like that guy?" What's worse is that she sometimes makes these comments in public in front of my friends. I've told her many times to stop, but she says she just wants to motivate me to be healthy and continues doing it anyway. Now my girlfriend is a huge Swiftie, and ever since she heard that Taylor was dating Travis Kelce, she's been watching the Kansas City games. Well, last week we were watching the conference finals together, and after the game, the cameras were following the two of them for a bit. I decided my girlfriend needed a taste of her own medicine. I said, it must be nice to date someone like Taylor Swift. My girlfriend looked at me weird and asked me what I meant. I said Taylor is smart, beautiful, and supports her boyfriend, while all the people I've dated, I've only dated 2, including Rachel, are mean, condescending, and prey on my insecurities. She is not like those things. I told her she has been absolutely acting that way for months and made me feel worthless. She started crying and called me a jerk. Since then, her sister and best friend have been calling me a shallow jerk for what I said and telling me I shouldn't be comparing my girlfriend with other women. But my intention was to only show her how hurtful her comments to me have been. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. She is frankly a terrible girlfriend. Instead of finding out if you're coping all right after losing your mom, the woman has been body shaming you for months, often in front of friends. Clearly, the thing she finds most important is that you stay good enough for Her Royal Highness while you grieve. She is running to her sister and friend to vilify you and gang up to berate you, which is just a small taste of your future with this nasty creature. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Normally, I would say ESH because being passive-aggressive towards someone's passive-aggressiveness is unhealthy. Use your words or leave. However, her callous and repeated negging and body shaming is untenable and horrid in its wretched cruelty. Leave this person. Someone kind does not behave this way, and that is the most important trait a partner can have. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I've got to fill you in on the chaos of the past 3 days. After the blow-up with Rachel, things went from bad to worse. She didn't talk to me for a whole day, which was a relief at first, but then I started to worry. I remembered how we used to be inseparable, hitting the gym together and meal prepping on Sundays. It was like we were 2 peas in a pod, but now it felt like we were on different planets. On the second day, Rachel finally broke the silence. She came home from work and threw a gym membership renewal notice at me. "Maybe this will motivate you," she said with a cold look in her eyes. I couldn't believe it. After all the times I told her how her comments hurt me, she was doubling down. I decided to confront her. I reminded her of how she used to encourage me when I first started working out, how she was my rock when my mom passed away. But she just shrugged and said, "That was then, this is now. You've changed." I was stunned. It was like she had forgotten all the good times we shared. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my dad and how he always told me to stand up for myself. He was a strong man, a chef who loved his food as much as he loved his family. He never let anyone push him around. I decided I needed to be more like him. The next day, I went to the gym alone. I was halfway through my workout when I saw Rachel walk in with a guy from her office, the one she always said was just a friend. They were laughing and joking, and he was spotting her while she lifted weights. It felt like a punch to the gut. I had always trusted her, but seeing them together like that, it was clear there was more going on. I left the gym without them noticing and went home. I was a mess of emotions, angry and hurt. I remembered how Rachel and I had planned to start a family, how we had picked out names for our future kids. It all seemed like a cruel joke now. That evening, Rachel came home and I confronted her about the guy. She tried to deny it at first, but then she admitted they had been seeing each other for a few months. She said she didn't plan for it to happen, but they just connected on a different level. I couldn't believe it. The woman I loved, the one I wanted to build a life with, had betrayed me. But here's the twist. As we were arguing, her phone rang. It was her sister, the one who had been calling me a shallow jerk. Rachel put the call on speaker, and her sister started going off about how I was no good for her. But then she slipped up and mentioned how she had encouraged Rachel to get closer to her coworker because I was a lost cause. I was floored. Rachel's sister, who had always been nice to my face, was actually scheming behind my back. Rachel looked just as shocked as I was. It turned out her sister never liked me because I wasn't successful enough for her family's standards. She had been pushing Rachel towards her coworker, who came from a wealthy family. Rachel started crying, saying she was sorry and that she didn't know what to do. But for me, it was too late. The trust was broken, and I couldn't look at her the same way again. I cut off Wi-Fi after catching my boyfriend's cybersex. He's off porn now, and we're in therapy. But trust is hanging by a thread. My 21-year-old female boyfriend and I haven't had intimacy in nearly 2 years. I've always respected his boundaries, but I've also worked to discuss this with him. We've had plenty of conversations about this topic, and ultimately, nothing has changed. These conversations have turned into arguments on my end. I don't know why, but I was under the impression, up until recently, that he didn't really watch porn. He told me today that he does so 3 to 4 times a week. This really bothered me for a couple of reasons. The first being the fact that he has no wants to have intimacy with me. It was disheartening to hear that while he didn't want to have intimacy with me, he was fine getting off to other women. The second being, I provide him with a lot of my own pictures, videos, yet he chooses to watch porn instead. Of course, this made me feel insecure and frustrated, and I told him I didn't want him watching it as often as he does. He got irritated and told me it was his safe space, and it turned into a much deeper argument. I've generally never had an issue with porn when we first started dating. However, with the circumstances, it definitely bothers me, but I also respect and understand the pros of masturbation. I don't mind masturbation. I mind that he's watching other women's porn. It's just a difficult situation. I haven't changed much since we got together, and I'm, by societal standards, relatively attractive. I'm the breadwinner. I clean, I cook, I literally schedule his doctor's appointments for him. I wear lingerie for him. I dress in ways that I know he likes, to no avail. He is affectionate towards me and very loving. But our intimacy relationship has become a major issue, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't turning into resentment on my end. We've had more arguments, and I'm finding it very hard to get over the corn situation. Admittedly, I've been less affectionate over the last couple of months. I've been quicker to irritation and overall just wanting my own space. He told me the intimacy would improve if I showed I loved him more. However, it's been 2 years and a couple of months of me not being loving enough. I haven't intentionally done this. I simply feel like I give a lot to our relationship and am exhausted trying to fix our issues. I know the topic of intimacy is stressing him out. He tells me he feels bad. Edit. I should add that my boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years. Yes, I've obviously tried making advances. I won't go into details, but trust me, I have done plenty to try and initiate intimacy. However, I want to respect his boundaries as well. I definitely am going to try and be more spontaneous and initiate things more, though. I appreciate all the advice that has been given to me, and I agree with those saying I'm his mommy. As stupid as it may sound, I hadn't really realized, and will probably have a discussion about this with him to figure things out. I should have added, he does a lot for me too, though. I wouldn't mind him watching porn if we had a better intimacy life. I don't view it as cheating, nor do I think it's wrong. However, it raises red flags when he doesn't want to have intimacy with me, but wants to watch porn. He's not gay. We've had a discussion about that. Yes, I make him hard. Yes, he can keep the hard on. Please, for the love of God, stop asking me to send you nudes in my DMs. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think it's pretty clear you're not compatible. If he's watching porn 3 to 4 times a week, but you guys haven't had intimacy in about 2 years, that would make me guess he is not watching normal porn and/or has some strange fetishes that he doesn't think you'd like or just doesn't want to do them with you. My other guess is that you've practically become his mother with all the caretaking you do. Cooking, cleaning, even appointments. It's almost like he does not view you romantically anymore because you're his mother figure. Either way, you are not sexually compatible, and he's not exactly willing to communicate openly and work on things. Don't waste your time and leave him. Comment 2. He prefers to rub one out over a digital woman rather than to have intimacy with you. He's jewel-beetled himself, but he doesn't want to leave the relationship because he still really likes these other benefits that you provide to him. I'm the breadwinner. I clean, I cook, I literally schedule his doctor appointments for him. He likes things the way they are. You're doing free wifey duties for him, and he gets to throw ropes over his phone, tablet, PC. You're way too young to be putting up with this shoot. Find someone who loves you and also wants to have intimacy with you. There will be plenty of men out there who are willing to interview for that role, I promise you. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on my situation with my boyfriend and our, lack of intimacy life. It's been a week since I last posted, and let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster. First off, I took some of your advice and decided to have another heart-to-heart with my boyfriend. I thought maybe if I approached the conversation differently, we could get to the bottom of this. We've always been good at communicating, or so I thought. So I sat him down and tried to be as understanding as possible. I reminded him of how much I love him and that I'm here to support him. But when I brought up the corn and our intimacy life, he clammed up like he always does. He said he didn't want to talk about it and that I was pressuring him. I was frustrated, sure, but I kept my cool. I told him that I felt like we were stuck in a loop and that something had to give. He finally opened up a bit and admitted that he's been feeling insecure about his performance. That's why he's been avoiding intimacy with me and turning to corn instead. It was a shock, honestly, because he's always seemed so confident in other areas of his life. We decided to try couples therapy. It was a big step for us, especially for him, since he's always been a bit skeptical about therapy. But we found a therapist who specializes in intimacy issues, and we've had our first session. It was intense. A lot of old issues came up, like how he felt emasculated because I'm the breadwinner. I never knew he felt that way. In the meantime, I've been trying to give him space and work on myself. I started going to the gym more, hanging out with my friends, and just trying to find happiness outside of our relationship. It's been tough, but I think it's important for my own sanity. Now, for the jaw-dropping part. 2 days ago, I came home early from work because I wasn't feeling well. I walked into our bedroom and found my boyfriend in a compromising position. He was on a video call, and it wasn't just any call. He was having cybersex with someone. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. All this time, he'd been telling me he was too stressed for intimacy, and here he was, doing this. I confronted him immediately. He tried to play it off like it was nothing, just a one-time thing, but I wasn't having it. I told him that this was a massive breach of trust and that I needed some time to think. I spent the night at a friend's place and didn't speak to him for a full day. I needed that time to clear my head and decide what I wanted to do. It was during that time away that I realized how much I'd been bending over backward for him, scheduling his appointments, cooking, cleaning, and trying to be the perfect girlfriend. When I came back, I told him that things needed to change. I wasn't going to be his caretaker anymore. If he wanted this relationship to work, he needed to put in the effort. And here's where the subtle justice comes in. He agreed to take on more responsibilities around the house and to continue therapy, both couples and solo. He also promised to cut back on the corn and work on rebuilding the trust between us. But the real kicker, I changed the Wi-Fi password and didn't give it to him. If he wants to use the internet, he has to do it when I'm home, and he's been surprisingly okay with that. It's a small victory, but it feels like a step in the right direction. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.